All right, Coach Horton. How's it going, man? Wrestling tournament time.
It's good, man. It's great to be back in the gym wrestling at tournaments.
Absolutely. How many did New Braunfels Elite bring up?
We bought 18.
18?
Yeah.
How's it going so far? We're in day 2.
Day 2, we got a couple kids that came out of the 15U last night undefeated. Well, 4 of them undefeated. We took some hard losses too yesterday, but hey, that's what this tournament is. There's no easy rides in this thing, and so we came up here for a good competition.
Nice. We've been on like this COVID lull for a while, and maybe change kids training up, and what's it been like for you as a coach, and what are you noticing are the effects of this break that they've had?
Some of these kids haven't been on the mat for months and months. I mean, in competition, and competition is different from the practice room. So we've been practicing for a little while again, but it's not the same. So, and we saw some of that out here against some of the better competition. If you're not in those competitions all the time, it shows some, and it did for us a few times.
Yeah. So when I came up here, I was talking about a frustration I had. Short story: a 6-year-old wrestling his heart out against a better wrestler that's 6. He gets pinned, looks over to his dad to make sure see if it's okay. Gets yelled at. Guy throws a towel on the ground. And, just what I think is like a horrible response, especially for a 6-year-old. Tell me about how you as a coach try to play the right role for, a 6-year-old versus like an 18-year-old.
Right, yeah. We, I think that if those 6-year-olds aren't having fun, win or lose, they need to, of course it's important, they got to get out there and compete and stuff, but it should be a fun thing. It shouldn't be about the wins and losses. And if they look to their coach or their parent and they're getting mad and they're yelling at them, which we do see at some of these tournaments, and like you said, it's frustrating. It becomes no fun for that kid. And my philosophy in our gym is we want long-term commitment to the sport. So we keep it fun. We try and keep it as fun as we can for the littler kids. We help them try and stay relaxed and just have fun and understand it's not about winning and losing at that age. Nobody wins an Olympic medal out here today.
Yeah.
But
Sanderson's not
right.
On today.
But then as we start getting up in the older kids, I got a couple older kids that I had to have some serious conversation with and say, hey, you need to start figuring this out on your own. I know how good they are, but they need to figure it out. And those, you got to have different levels of conversations based on their age groups and where they're going for their next 6-year-old. Hopefully he's got a lot of years left in the sport to figure that stuff out. 17, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, they're getting to a point where they need to figure it out if they plan on continuing on. So different levels of conversations and attitudes in the corners.
So tell me, earlier you were telling me about your approach to your kids wrestling and how you kind of grew into that role.
Yeah, well, when my 2 boys started wrestling, I was a little bit afraid to coach them because I'm pretty intense when I wrestle and when I train, and I was afraid I would transfer that to them. And I can separate that really good when I'm coaching other kids, but I didn't know if I could with my own kids. And actually, my wife actually told me one time that I talk to my boys different than I do other kids on the mat. And I had to step back and think about that. So I liked it when other people coached my kids. I kind of did a hands-off approach for a while, and I don't know whether that was the right approach or not. Only time will tell over the long term. But I wanted my kids to enjoy the sport, and I didn't want them to. I've seen dads and overbearing coaches push kids out. And I didn't want to be that kind of guy to my kids. Well, whether they keep wrestling or not, that's up to them, and I want them to make that decision. But I didn't want it because of me, one way or the other.
Yeah. So hey, every few days on Facebook, I see a picture of you just getting done training. Super impressive. How old are you, Coach?
54.
54. And you're putting together like a 20-year-old that's training. Tell me, how important is that in your life, and tell me some things that you do to kind of maintain your health and not just being healthy, you're jacked. Right.
Well, I've been blessed with some pretty good genetics, I think, and I've avoided any real major injuries my whole career. So, I've banged up, hurt a few things, but I'm afraid to stop training. I'm afraid that if I stop training, I'll fall apart. Yeah. And so, it's just part of my life. I enjoy doing it. I've got a good facility where I got a lot of equipment where I can do personal training. So during the shutdown, couldn't wrestle for a while, but I could still run small group training. So as far as strength and conditioning. So I spent a lot of time with 4 or 5 kids at a time, 4 or 5 sessions a day, different groups, just training. So while I'm training them, I'm getting workouts too. So it was awesome for me. I feel like I'm in better shape now than I have been in years.
Yeah, whatever that sled is you're pushing with like 10 feet of 45-pound plates on it.
It's called a sprint trainer.
Sprint
trainer. I'm telling you what, that thing, I've never felt anything like that. I mean, I've trained hard my whole career, but that thing took my conditioning to the next level when I started doing it last year. I mean, I had to go out and buy one after I trained on it for a couple months because I have never felt anything like that. That's the best piece of equipment I've ever used in my life. And I suggest people just Google Sprint Trainer and look for that thing because it's awesome.
You gonna compete again?
I am. I just accepted an invitation to go wrestle in the Russian Veterans Nationals in September, but I applied for my visa to get over there, and the Russian consulate called and said they're not processing visas right now because they're shut down, but they're hoping to open and process in the next couple of weeks. So.
I think they just don't want that smoke, Coach. Yeah. They don't want you over there winning their national tournament. You're the man. I appreciate it, Coach. Anything else you want to share?
No, man, this is awesome. Glad to be back to wrestling. I hope we can get back to fairly normal, coming up here for this next season.
I'll see you around.
All right, thanks, bud.